story about my friend Justin Roki. Who I mentioned a lot. He's my Marine buddy who died of a heroin overdose. Uh, really good guy, really tortured guy. But like I'll tell you, like the lesson he taught me. They were really tight with their captain. He was an elite. He was an elite group of Marines, and he was a sniper, and really good at it. You know, D1 baseball player, All-American athlete, good guy in Afghanistan doing his thing. And their captain, who they all loved and were all very close with, got killed in a way where they couldn't go to him, and they had to watch him die for like 15 minutes. And it was like what I experienced with the pig, except a human being that they cared about. And it was extended, and there was pleading, and he was begging for his mother. And he said that something broke in them, and they went a bit AWOL. Like he got honorably discharged. He was by 26, he was never going to have a job again. They were just going to give him disability, and he had horrible PTSD, heroin problems, all that shit. And so they went rogue. They just started shooting people. Like he said he saw a Taliban guy raping a kid, and he blew his brains out. He would always call it pink mist, and he loved it, and he was good at it. He was really good at killing, and he was avenging his friend, and he felt power, and he felt justice and all that. Here's what happened. He comes back to America, and he described it as a moral injury. That's how my brother actually described it, and he went with it. The fact that it wasn't orders, it wasn't the system of war, the way it is, like you get a command, you get an order, you follow your duty. There's a way to handle war, the horrors of war, and survive it spiritually. When you become your own God and you start inflicting your rage on people that you deem monsters, when it all calms down, when the sounds stop, and the adrenaline and the isolation and being alone in a desert thousands of miles from people, and you go back to your mother, you go back to a grocery store. He said that it fucked him up so bad because he knew he liked it. And he'd have waves where he'd want to just start killing people that he thought were evil, or he'd want to make the Middle East glass, he'd say, with nuclear bombs. And then like an hour later, he would say that we're all people and that we all have the same souls. He was two different people at that point. He had a split from trauma. And it's not necessarily war. It's not necessarily killing. It was him deciding who lives and dies. There's a trauma that happens from that. And so the point I'm trying to make is most of us will never be in that position. Thank God. Most of us will never be in the position where we get to get the guy who raped our mother, or who tried to kill us, or who we just saw raping a kid or something. And we in our minds were like, I'll take their fingers off. But no, you kill them quick. You get them out. Like, these monsters have to go. I'm not saying I'm not PETA, guys. This is because I've seen what can happen. And a lot of people will back me up on this. This is a valid thing. If you like it, if you find yourself enjoying torturing someone, even if they're a monster, even if they deserve to die, even if they deserve to feel pain, even if they're a soulless cancer on this world, it takes a toll on you. And the pain of the other person isn't worth it. It's so primal, to hear the guttural noise for a mother, or God, or just helplessness or confusion, or just the trauma of watching you lose your own blood. If there's no joy in that at all. Do not root for violence. Don't even fucking joke about genocide or any of that shit. There's an evil that comes from some types of jokes, and I used to be a lot more reckless with them. And I'd say, I'm just joking. And my brother would be like, really? Just joking? That was a little fucked up thing to say. And nothing like James Gunn. That's insane. But I'm talking about some of these jokes, it's not about like SJW feelings and all that. It's about you. It's like, don't verbalize that you want to like kill everyone and torture and I'm guilty of it as anybody. I've fantasized about torturing people that hurt kids and just going, and I know I'd like and all this. If that ever happens, and I think, unfortunately, I think more and more these days that in my lifetime, I will have to experience a time when I have to potentially take human life in war. I think a lot of us may have to face that. Hopefully not. I pray to God not. I pray for my family not. But like in the next 20 years, we may face, like we're within 2 years of our national debt. The interest on that debt will be more than Medicaid. We're 4 years away from it being more than our entire military budget. Just the interest. Can you imagine young people having to deal with the fact that they're paying the interest on the last generation's greed because they wanted free shit from the government and then the government's taking all their fucking money and paying off their whores and their victims and their unnecessary fucking overpriced friends, war machines? How is that gonna fly? Do you think that'll be a safe transition? What's the move? You cut a half of the government? You cut the pensions of hardworking government people that rely on that? Or do you tell the next generation, us, our kids, that just the interest on the decisions of the last generation will cost more than our entire defense budget? That's 4 or 5 years away right now. That's this close. Do you think that won't possibly be gutting people, seeing them spaz out, trying to do a quick fucking brain shot? These are things you have to think about. You have to think about this shit before it happens, because if you don't, it might be too late then. You might be manipulated. Trauma, like I knew one of the kids, one of the Lost Boys from Africa, right? One of these dudes was in, the way the Africans work is they take kids that are like 7 and they've already experienced trauma. They already have dissociative personality disorder. They already have, different aspects of their fractured personality when they've watched just rape and murder their whole life and no one loved them. And they start giving them, booze and drugs at 7. They get them to kill. They get the warlords get the kids to seek their approval. All that shit. I knew a dude who walked out of there. He killed more people than he would ever even want to talk about. And he wanted to be a comic. One of the Lost, what are they called? The Lost Boys? They walked out. They walked through a desert. They got the fuck out of there. He had friends die from like lions as they were escaping these civil wars. Like, things go so bad, guys. Most of the world is in a state of constant violence. And so to hear people that, myself included sometimes, in our current world in America, where you can have peace, where you can go to a store, you can like, do you know most of the world, you can't like walk from your car to the store without thinking that someone may try and take everything from you and rape you. And to want to almost look forward to almost like romanticize killing and torturing and hurting because it'll make the pain go away of our cognitive dissonance, of our fractured souls because of the mental control shit that the people with power do on us. The shit they put in our foods, the fact we can't trust vaccines, the fact that, we can't afford homes when our parents could get one for a third the cost, the fact that 2 parents now have to work and no one gets a mom just because you could, fucking feminism, all of that shit. It's like, we want the pain to go away, right? We want, like, who do we kill? How do we stop it? These people get no justice. If they won't give justice, we have to give justice in the streets. It's like, that's so real and that's so possible that do not pray for that. Do not pray. Do not want the release of that pain through violence.